All right. Um, I want to talk about interesting discussion, interesting topic. I love talking about this. So, with this amazing view, it makes me think. It makes me really go into my thoughts about why I'm here, what I'm doing, what's the purpose of everything, all the stuff I've worked on, everything I've done to get to this point. And in the video right before this, I don't really care if anyone can see. I just really want to talk. No one even watches this, anyways. Okay, so this is for my sake. It's because I want to listen back on this, and I want to remember this conversation. I always think this to myself, but I have to recollect my thoughts and rethink of it again. I want to put this on camera and articulate this thought and this thought process and how it is going to change my life by knowing this. All right, that's what I'm going to talk about. I go out the window. It's about to get deep. It's just basically math. We're just going to talk about math, but how the math is connected to everything that I'm doing. Oh, fuck's a key. Okay. So, right now we're sleeping on the top of a mountain with an amazing view of the strip. And, you know, in this area right here where I'm at is where I want to live in the house. But we don't have $2.7 million. We have a truck that my father lets me use, but the view would be the same. If I was sitting in my backyard, I'd be sitting in a chair just like this, and I would have this view. So I get the sensations, I get the feelings, I get the thought process. I also drive up all the way over here, and this is the same drive that I would have to take to go to a house up here into the mountains, because up here past this mountain, this is a mountain, right? There's a bunch of houses. If I walk up it, which I could if I really wanted to, I could. And above all of this, there's a whole bunch of houses, but like these are that we can go publicly without having to go through a gated community or any security like that. But this is what we're at 2.5 minutes, and but it's at my own speed. It's at my own pace. This is for me. This is not for anybody else. If anybody else gets anything out of this, it won't be too many people, because this is such a unique way of thinking, and I can think this way because what I do trading connects into it. So here we go. I want you to think about this. I want you to really think about this, Ethan. Percentages in Forex are superior over dollars. And the whole overall goal of managing money and trading money is to risk the largest dollar amount attached with the smallest percentage, all right? That's where we're going to start. That's the foundation of this thought process and all the ideas and everything that's come from this realization. When I trade, I'm trading percentages. I'm not trading dollars. The dollars are there, yes, of course, they exist, but the percentages are superior, and I'm going to explain why. The percentages are easier to comprehend and bring less emotions and potentially no emotions into it when you just think about percentages. There's numbers. That's all it really is. And the dollars are hard to forget about in the moment. In the moment when the trade is open, so when the trade is closed, the only thing that I want to be thinking about and can only be thinking about is the percentage that I'm about to lose on my account and the percentage I'm about to gain on my account. This is all that matters, the percentage, okay? This is all that matters. When I get in, when it comes to profiting, when I say all that matters, when it comes to making money, I'm earning a percentage or losing a percentage. That is what is happening beyond the money, beyond the lot size, beyond everything, right? Just beyond it all. That's what's going on. That's the purpose of Forex. The purpose of it is to risk a certain percentage to gain a certain percentage. I know that. We know that. We know that that's the foundation. That is where profiting starts in Forex, and that's the only way it should be looked at. So I know I'm about to explain some math that doesn't actually mathematically make sense, but again, I know stuff that most people don't, and we're going to create our own rules so we make it easy for ourselves to win. That's what we're going to do. Forex accounts don't care how much money you have. At each account that is different, it has a different amount of equity, will still have a certain percentage for 1% of that value. So let me say this again. 1% will have a different value for each account. So if the account is 10,000, 1% will be $100. And if the this is so crazy that I'm saying all this. If the account is let's say 100,000, 1% is $1,000. If it's a million, 1% is $10,000. Okay, so it's important to know that, right? It's important to understand that every single dollar amount has a value of 1% to that number. And the whole goal in Forex is to make a significant amount of money off of a trade and off of a day trade. That is my goal. That is what I'm trying to do. That is what I practice. This is what I'm good at. This is the art of trading Forex. It is not easy. It is so difficult, but that difficult part is done. It is over. The learning curve for me ended a long time. What I'm stuck on is money management and just I have a business. I do car detailing. You guys watch. I can always get money for Forex. I can always do it. So there's nothing stopping me. There's nothing stopping me. And nothing is stopping me. That's why I'm doing everything that I'm doing, because there's nothing there. So this is what it is. Imagine you have $50. You have $50. What is the value of 1% to $50? It's 50 cents. So if you wanted to make a 100% return on $50, well, what you are basically saying is you need to earn, gather, however you want to say it, 50 cents 100 times. So 50 cents made once, 50 cents is 1%. 50 cents made a second time, that's 2%. 50 cents made a third time is 3%. What are you at? $1.50 on 3%. That's 3% return on $50. 50% return, 4%, $2. To make a 100% return on $50, you would need to make $50. You would need to double your money. So in other words, you would need to make 50 cents 100 times. You're not at $100. And I'm going to tell you the furthest I've made it and where I'm at right now. I'm going to tell you both, but I need you, Ethan. The person that I'm making this for is you. Understand this. You are so close because the percentages are leading the way. And this is why we're going to get rich. It's not that the money is there. The money is there. But in the markets, that's not what's going on. It's a whole different mindset. And it's as soon as I press the buy button or the sell button, boom, percentages. And you can move really fast with percentages, regardless of how much the equity is. If you have, when the time comes for I believe it's the 14th double up, 1% is going to be worth $8,000. And when you got to make 100, you got to make I have to make $8,000 100 times to double up 800,000, which would be 1.6 million. And for 1.6 million, look, I'm going to go slow. I'm going to start from the beginning. I'm going to tell you where I'm at right now. Okay, so we're at $100 right now, right? We're at $100. Okay, we're at $100. 1% is $1. 2% is $2. 3% is $3. You can see how this, you can see where it's going. You would be making $100, which will double it to 200, which is the second time you've doubled your money. Meaning you've got 100%, and now you have 200%. And this is what I mean by doubling up. 1 time, 2 times. Now we go from 200 to 400. What is the value of 1% for the 200 to 400? It's $2, $4, $6, $8, $10. $10 is 5%. Just keep on going the whole way. You get to 400. That's 300% down. Okay? You've done it. It's in the past. You've doubled the money. The money is not significant, but the percentage return is significant. The value of 1% is so valuable over the $1, $2 that are the value of the percentages. They may not seem valuable, but the percentage is so valuable. So you go from 400 to 800. What is 1% of $400? It's $4, $8, $12, $16, $20. $20 is 5%. Add another 5, you're looking at 40. 15, what is it? 60. 20% is 80. You keep on going. Eventually, when you get to 100, you made $400 profit. The last percent, which is 100%, is going from $396 to 400, which you now have $800 because you had 400, you doubled it. You have now doubled your money. This is what I've done. I've doubled my money 4 times. 100, 50 to 100, 100 to 200, 200 to 400, 400 to 800. 4 double ups done. Okay, here's where I'm at. Full transparency, this is where I'm at. I've doubled the money from 800 to 1600. That is basically saying 1% has a value of $8, 2% 16, 3% 24, 4% 32, 5%. Wait. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. That's 6%. 56 is 7%. 64 is 8%. 72 is 9%. 80% would obviously be 10%. So you keep going through this process, which we're here, right? This is where we're at. So 1,600 to 3,200 is the next double up, which would be 6 double ups. We're trying to get to 17 total double ups. When done, that is $6.4 million. $6.4 million. Okay. Through Forex, it's only viewed as percentages when you're in a trade. And you can have significant swings in the percentage perspective, but obviously the risk is going to be higher in the dollars. So that's why if you can have the lowest percentage at risk but the highest dollars, you're putting so minuscule amount of percentage at risk, but the dollar amount is so it's enough money to pay your bills for the next 5 years in a single trade, right? Like, it's enough money to retire everyone in your family in one trade. That can be done with the dollars, but you would want to have a small percent being at risk. However, you can also go risk 10% on one trade, 5%. With a regulated broker, they will allow a retail trader to risk at least 8%. That's 1 to 50 leverage. A 1 to 50 leverage is basically $1 for every $1 you have is equivalent to 50 extra dollars. So I have 1,600 and times 50 of all that. I basically have like, what is it? so if 100 was each one, it'd be, what is it? 160, that probably like $80,000 is the strength of having 1,600, but leverage yeah, you need it in forex, or we wouldn't be able to trade. But anyways, going from 1,600 to 3,200, which is the double up I'm on. I'm starting number 6 out of 17. So my thought process is, I look at it as returning I'm trying to make 100% return, and detailing will come to a certain point where I will, think about this, 800,000, the value of 1% is going to be 8,000. I would have to detail for a full month to cover 1%, right? So a whole year, I would only get 12% done, because even in a month, 8,000 is really good for a detailer. So 12, 24, 36, 48, 60. We're at 5 years, and I've only gotten 60% done of 800,000 to get to 1.6 million. Okay, think about that. Think about that. That's 5 years, and we're only at 60%. Think about it. 72, 84, 96. It would take eight years to finish the double up doing car detailing, from 800,000 to 1.6 million, which is the 15th, I believe the 15th double up. It would take us 5 years to get past the 15th. Well, how long is it going to take to get past the next one? 10 years. And then to go from the final one, it's going to take 20 years. So the last 3 double ups on doing this would take a combination of 30, of how many years? Of I think that's 40 freaking years. I'm pretty sure it's what it is. But anyway, I know it's up there. I know it's around 30. But here's the point. Let's tie this all back together. At some point, Forex has to take over, because the time doesn't match up with the detailing business. And even if I contract jobs out, even if I send jobs to other detailers, that still would only decrease that year by 20%, which, or maybe 40. I think 40 could be the max time that it takes off, but taking 40% off of 40 years is still having to do this 23 years to get to the final double up. And those are the final 3, not including the ones getting up into that point. Like, you got to get 400,000, 200,000. We didn't even factor those years in with detailing, which would even stack it up probably to like 55, 60 years it would take to finish the last 6 double ups of what I'm trying to work on. So think about this. If you have a Forex account, when I have $100,000, 5% is going to be $5,000. And if there's a swing in a trade for 20% on a 1 to 4, I just made a quarter. No, let's say it goes, I'm risking 7% and I catch a 1 to 4, which is going to be 28%. You can make a quarter of 100% in Forex, and it doesn't matter what the equity is. So think about that. You just covered 28%, because you're risking 28 is the reward, 1 to 4 risk reward. I usually like to go for 1 to 3s, but let's say 1 to 4. Those they happen quite often. That is much more doable, because now when you think about the last 3 double ups, well, if you just made 28%, that's basically saying you're almost making a quarter. You just got to do that 4 times. 4 times 3 more double ups is 12 times that you would need to make a 25% return on the last one. The money doesn't matter in Forex, but this is the thing. I'm at 1,600 to 3,200. This is the double up I'm focused on. And what I'm doing is the car detail. And that's why y'all see me doing the car detail in those videos, is because I'm in the beginning of the double ups. I don't necessarily need to trade because the lot sizes are so insignificant, and I'm losing sleep because I like to stay awake in London session, and in America it's early in the morning or late at night. You could say it's around 2 a.m. and I like to watch it. I like to enjoy my trading. I like to participate and watch and see how it moves and what it does, and maybe I'll watch the video, but I'm awake monitoring it. I like to do it. But if the lot size is not worth it, even if there's a trade, I could throw something in, but the point of it is to make a significant, substantial amount of money in Forex. I don't want to stay awake if there's no money with it. What's like $70? The most that I can make right now, which I can make a quarter of 100% is, what is it, like I can make $300 is the most I can make. But if I lose, I'm gonna be basically losing 15% when I can just go do the details, stack up some money, put some in unregulated brokers as well, and have those being traded and not touch where I'm at. I'm gonna hold my position at the fifth double up. I'm not gonna go down into it. I'm not gonna risk anything on it. I'm gonna put money into my unregulated accounts, or I'm gonna deposit money into the actual regulated account so I can have money to trade with on top of my double up. So I hold my position. I don't go back. I don't lose this, because it's tough to get here. This $1,600 was done with all the details done in Denver. That was that was hard work. I don't want to lose that money. I'm not going to go to the casino. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to risk my money. And even in Forex, I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to hold my position. I can go do details. I have a good system. I have a good partner out here in Vegas who also has a detailing business himself. He's been in business for a long time out here, so he's got a lot of clients. Like, I'm just taking my time with this. In my world, I am 1,200%, which is 12 double ups, away from being in a mansion with the same view right here in Las Vegas. That is precisely what is going on. And do not ever let yourself be unconvinced that is the truth. And Forex, think about this. If I can risk 7%, I know it's quite high. A lot of people are going to say it's really high, actually. But if you wait for the low-hanging fruit trades, which is what I do, you don't technically need to lose. There's a way to avoid losing. There really is. So let's say in a perfect world, that means from this moment, if I didn't do detailing, no, actually, that's not a fun. Let me change the thought process. I can do car detailing up until around 25,000, 50,000. That's my limit on this, and even that's me working all the way to the end of the year, or maybe to the end of next year doing this. That's another year and 5 months, which I can do. I have it in me to do this. Up until the point where this is no longer going to get me through these next double ups. But let's say, I say around 12K to 20, I think around 25,000, that I'll just be doing this for extra cash on the side. I'll just be doing this to have money. Maybe I can use this money to pay for rent and I don't have to pull anything out from Forex. I'll still be doing the detailing and it still will have its purpose, but it's going to be like handing the baton off to Forex between 25K, 50K, and each 1% at 50K is going to be $500. So, detailing, you got to work your ass off for $500 in one day, and you got to stay consistent, and work has to be at that level every day, which is just not realistic in car detailing. Like 5 cars every day is hard enough to do, but you also got to be energized and you have to be wanting to go do it as well. You have to have good sleep. It's just to be that consistent at making $500 every day is tough. So 1% in Forex, where you risk 1.5%, you make 5 back. This is how you move ahead. It's right around that moment. 25,000 to 50,000 is when the detailing transitions to Forex. That is exactly where it's going to happen. So I'm going to participate in Forex with at the 6.4K all the way to 12.8K. I'm going to have unregulated brokers that have 1 to 500 leverage, and I'm going to be using them to get from there to 12,000 a lot faster, because it's still going to take some time from 6K to 12K. It's going to take some time. It's just, everything takes time. Making a cake takes time. Having a kid, the kid being raising them, just becoming good at something, reading a book, things take time. Everything has this element to it where it does, there's not too many things that happen instantaneously. that are worth anything. So think about this. At 16, trying to get to 3.2K, that's the 6 double up. 3.2 to 6.4 is the 7th double up. And 6.4K to 12.8K is the 8th double up. 12,025 is the 9th. 25,000 to 50,000 is the 10th. Going from 50,000 to 100,000 is the 11th double up. 100,000 to 200,000 is the 12th double up. 200,000 to 400,000 is the 13th. 400,000, 800,000 is the 14th. 800,000 to 1.6 is the 15th. 1.6 to 3.2 million is the 16th. Did I say that? And then 3.2 million to 6.4 is the 17th. And that's as far as I can see. You know, if we get there, we'll see further, but that's far as fuck right now for me. So that's what I'm trying to think about. I'm at 500%. I need 1,700. If we make it to 1,700, we're millionaires. I'm a fucking millionaire. You know, like that is the only way to see this. It is the truth of the percentages. Forex can move percentages can be gained in Forex within a matter of 2 hours. If I decide if I wanted to put 20% on a trade and I hit a 1 to 3, that's 60%. It doesn't matter what double up I was in. It doesn't matter if it was the final one. If I decided to risk, if I had 3.2 million and decided to risk 20%, I'm basically saying that I'm going to risk, let's say, like $600,000. But if I win this $600,000 on a 1 to 3, that's $1.8 million, which is, what is that? You know, if you win 10% on a 1 to 3, you made a 30. I just made a 30% return, which is a third of the way on the last double up. Doing that in car detailing, even with subcontracting, would take 22 years. If you do the math behind both of them, it's 22 years, and that could be done in 2 or 3 hours. It is just mind fucking blowing the speed when it comes to the end of the double ups. So there's a transition point. That is the transition point. I'm recording this so I can remember exactly these thoughts, so I don't have to keep rethinking about this every day. I can just come watch this video and understand what's going on. Understand what is really happening. I don't look at money when I'm trading. I'm looking at the percentages. And even when I do the car detailing, it represents a percentage whenever I put it in to my regulated account. The one that's regulated, the one that they don't let you go all in. This is the one where I have my money at. So I'm only tracking the percentages as soon as money goes into there. I don't consider my savings. I don't consider cash or any money, even in the unregulated accounts. None of this money is being counted as a percent. So right now we're just sitting at 500 even out of 1,700. I do have around, let's say I have around like $500, but if I decided to deposit that, that would bring the percentage up to around like 30. So I would be sitting at 530%, right? So making 30% gain in only a 2-day span in Las Vegas. You know, that's moving very fast in the percentage perspective. $500, I don't look at $500. I'm looking at the value of the percentage. The value of the percentage is so valuable. But the only reason I'm allowed to think this way, and a lot of people are not, is because I trade Forex. I understand the financial markets, and this is the thought process you have to have. So it would be difficult to think about this any other way unless you're investing in really anything. But Forex is just, you can move so fast, you can move so quick, and that is why, you know, I got my spirits up. You know, I know what I know. I've learned a lot from Michael, Inner Circle Trader. You know, great teacher. You learn from his 2016 mentorship. Great information. Like, I know exactly how to read these charts, but managing money is a whole different story. You know, that's just completely different, and that's what I'm learning. And then from just, you know, life, understanding life in itself. We follow, what's his name? Kevin Trudeau from the Global Information Network. Amazing information, great guy, great American, one of the best mentors from both of them of life, and I got the best mentor of Forex. Like, I have been led in the right direction by the right guys, even though I've never met them. Maybe one day I will. Maybe one day that's possible, but as of right now, it's just those are the two biggest influences, and I can't forget to give all the credit to God right here. God himself and those two guys, my family, right? And my own doings, my own efforts, even if the no efforts are unnoticed, the actions are have to be noticed at some point. But this is the strength. This is where the strength comes from. The strength comes from having a significant awareness of knowing what's going on and knowing how math works, understanding how forex and percentages and math all work together to have significant amounts of money come into my life. And that is the way. That is the reason you guys see me cleaning cars is because of this. This is really what's going on. I need to um, just stay focused and just keep being persistent in this, and everything will take care of itself. So I think that's a 30-minute discussion about what I think about most of the time. As Earl Nightingale Earl Nightingale has said, that is what you think about most of the time is what you become. And I think about having a house up here in Las Vegas. I'm thinking about making significant amounts of money. Look, these people are building their houses out here. Like, what are we doing? There's people all living up there, bro. Like, what? Like, we need. Like, I know they're probably, like these people all worked for it. I don't care how old they are, they all worked for it, and that's what you got to do sometimes. And I'm up here where I want to be, and this thought process of percentages makes